If you want to know how to get flexible without negatively affecting your weightlifting, then this video is for you. Whenever I see this question asked in forums, I see a lot of people's answers being go and do a yoga class a couple of times a week, or go and do these stretches at the end of your workout. Now, if you're serious about weightlifting and strength training, you probably don't have time for that. And even if you do, going to a yoga class a couple of times a week, it's going to add stress to your life and it's not going to make you flexible. You need more volume than that. What's worked incredibly well for me and thousands of people around the world that I've coached is to do flexibility training as active recovery between your strength training. So that means in an upper body strength workout where you're doing, say, a chest press and a bent over row as your primary movements, you do lower body flexibility in between the strength training sets. So basically, you're just not sitting still doing nothing between your strength training, you're doing active recovery. This method works incredibly well and doesn't detract from your strength training at all because you're letting the muscles that you use for the chest press and the bent over row completely recover whilst you're doing your lower body flexibility training. In this video, I'm going to share with you the tutorials for a workout that's on a PDF and Excel spreadsheet in the description of this video. It takes exactly 60 minutes to do when you also do a 10-minute warm-up. We do a primary workout of 5 rounds, 5 minutes per round, where you're going to be doing a dumbbell chest press, a Jefferson curl, which is a stretch for the hamstrings and the posterior chain, then a ring horizontal row, which is the antagonistic muscles to the chest press, and then also a loaded pancake. So we're doing 2 upper body strength using push-pull, and then 2 lower body flexibilities for 5 sets. So that's enough volume to see some serious adaptation in both strength and flexibility. Hey, if you're getting value out of this, please subscribe to the channel. I post daily content, and comment if you've got any questions. Then we finish with a supplementary circuit, 4 rounds, 4 exercises where you do 40 seconds on and then 20 seconds off. We'll be doing some bicep curls and tricep extensions, also a core exercise for the abs, and also some grip pinching for some grip strength. Semi-supinated grip dumbbell chest press. We use this in phase 1 to uncover and correct imbalances from left to right side and to increase shoulder mobility as the neutral grip allows for greater range of motion. To set up, start with the dumbbells on your knees, and as you lay down, bring them up to your shoulders. Pull your feet back under your butt, arch your back, and pull your shoulders down into your back pockets. This position creates a strong base to press from as the scapula acts as a platform for the arms to press off. The arch adds to the strength by allowing recruitment of the lats in the movement, and the feet positioned under the butt with heels pressed down allow for glute activation for extra support. At first, this position can be quite uncomfortable. With practice, you will get used to it, and once it becomes easy for you, then you are ready to start lifting some serious weight. Until then, focus on technique and quality of the movement over anything else. It is important to note that whenever you lift weights, you hold your breath with your lungs full. If you need to breathe, you only take a breath at the top of the movement, and you breathe out only a small amount of your lung capacity before breathing in all the way again and holding your breath for the entire rep, all the way up and down. If you can hold your breath for several reps, this is recommended. This is because breathing out causes the body to relax, reducing strength potential. When you are pressing weights, you want your body tense and strong. Mastering this breathing technique is critical for maximal strength development in all weightlifting movements. Once you've set up and are ready for your first rep, the 3 cues to think of are: set shoulders back and down, press with elbows under wrists, be intentional with end ranges. Jefferson Curl. We use the Jefferson Curl to develop spine mobility and to strengthen the back and posterior chain. Whether loaded forward flexion movements like the Jefferson Curl are good or bad for your back is a debated topic. It is important to note that it's not the movement that is bad, it's the load management. 2 people can do exactly the same movement, and one person can become very strong and mobile by slowly increasing their load tolerance over time, whilst the other person can injure themselves by lifting far too much for what their body is capable of. We have effectively rehabilitated many people who came to us with herniated discs and other debilitating chronic and acute back injuries. If you have a compromised spine, then perform the Jefferson Curl with very little weight. 2 to 5 pounds can be enough to stimulate a positive strength adaptation. If you're unsure whether this movement will be good for you, please consult a health professional. The most important point of the Jefferson Curl is to get movement in each joint of the spine. Don't bend the whole spine at once. Pay attention to how you can articulate the movement from the top of the spine to the bottom and vice versa. For setup, keep your feet facing forward. Start the movement by tucking the chin to the chest, then allow the weight to pull your shoulders forward and roll down through the spine. Try to keep your hips in a posterior pelvic tilt for as long as possible. Be very intentional on the way down. On the way up, you can be a little quicker, but the quality of movement should still be there. The 3 coaching cues to think of when performing the movement are: keep knees straight, roll down 1 vertebra at a time, be intentional with your movement. Ring horizontal row. We use this in phase 1 of the UMS as it is a safe way to introduce rowing into a program. People who are not conditioned effectively can experience muscle strains in their lower back when performing bent over rows. The ring horizontal row is a safe and effective way to avoid this, and the movement will be used in later phases of the UMS, so it's important to develop good technique. The most challenging part of the movement is scapular control. At all times, the scapula should remain depressed or pulled down towards the back pocket. Pay close attention to never let your scapula elevate. If you watch Richard's movement, you can see how the scapula moves through the full range of motion with protraction and retraction, but never elevating. For the setup, note that leverage is what increases or decreases intensity with this movement. So if you bring your feet forward, you increase difficulty, and if you bring your feet back, you decrease difficulty. You will learn where your feet should be after a few reps. Just find the position that allows you to challenge yourself for the rep range you are required to perform for your current program. This will change from each phase of the UMS, so make sure to check your program. Hands should be in a semi-supinated grip. Engage the core and make sure the body is in a straight line from head to feet. Once set up, the 3 cues to think of when performing the movement are: keep your body straight with abs engaged, initiate by pulling the shoulders back and down, be intentional with end ranges. Active pancake. We use this in phase 1 of the UMS to build hamstring strength through full range of motion. By opening the legs to 90 degrees, we allow for greater range of motion in people who have tighter hamstrings. The pancake is used in more advanced calisthenics movements like the press to handstand. However, it is useful for anyone wanting to become strong and flexible. Take note that the legs should be roughly 90 degrees. This is not the splits. So those of you who are flexible, make sure you distinguish between the pancake and middle splits. For beginners, it is useful to elevate your butt to allow for lack of flexibility. Once you can get past a 90-degree angle, when you stretch forward with your spine, you can lower what you're sitting on until eventually you're sitting on the floor. You should externally rotate the hips when doing the pancake, and it is good to change from plantar flexion of the feet, which is pointing your toes away from you, to dorsiflexion of the feet, which is pulling your toes back to you, every 2 reps. This allows for the nerves to floss between the muscles and will allow for greater range of motion. Make sure your knees are straight at all times. Tensing the quads to push the knees down into the ground can be useful with the pancake stretch. Once set up, the 3 cues to think of are: keep back straight and hinge from hips, keep knees straight, externally rotate the hips. Hey, if you want to get really flexible, you can click or tap the screen there to get my free flexibility blueprint. It's got an incredible PDF download, but also 3 really valuable video lessons. Seated 45-degree supinated grip dumbbell bicep curl. We use the seated 45-degree position in phase 1 of the UMS as it builds strength and flexibility in the bicep by strengthening the end range of shoulder extension. To set up, simply sit on a 45-degree bench and let the weight pull your arms into position. Keep your head forward and do not let your head rest on the bench, so you actively use the muscles in your neck to support your head. Hold the dumbbells with your little finger against the end of the dumbbell so that your hand is pulled into the supinated position. Grip the weights as hard as you can whenever performing bicep or tricep exercises. For the supinated grip bicep curl, think of gripping really hard with your little fingers. Once set up, the 3 coaching cues to think of are: keep your shoulders back, keep your upper arms still, be intentional with end ranges. For the bicep curl, it is important to note that the end range is when the arm is completely straight at the bottom and when you cannot curl any further at the top, and you achieve end ranges whilst maintaining stillness in the upper arm. Supine neutral grip dumbbell tricep extension. We use the supine neutral grip dumbbell tricep extension in phase 1 of the UMS as it builds strength and flexibility in the tricep in a safe position before moving further into shoulder flexion in later phases of the UMS. To set up, simply lay down on a bench, feet under your knees and arms extended in front of you. Keep your shoulders back and down and your thumbs at the end of the dumbbells. This position ensures you are able to access full range of motion without the dumbbell hitting your shoulder prematurely. Ensure that your upper arm stays vertical at all times. The only movement happens from the elbow and through the forearm and hand. Once set up, the 3 coaching cues to think of are: set your shoulders back and down, keep your upper arms still, be intentional with end ranges. Tuck up. We use this to prepare the core for much more challenging exercises in later phases of the UMS. Lay on your back with arms above your head. Initiate by bringing the arms forward, engaging the abs and sitting up. Once your back comes off the ground, bring your knees into your chest to reach the tuck-up position. A common mistake is that people bring their knees in far too soon, which prevents them from tucking up. This creates a false sense of lack of strength when the real problem is incorrect movement. Ensure you start with your arms, then lift your shoulders by engaging the abs. Then, when the back comes off the ground, tuck your knees in. During the eccentric phase, make sure to roll down each vertebra of the spine, one at a time. Do not lay on the ground with a flat back. Lower back first, then mid back, then shoulders. The 3 cues to think of when performing the exercise are: use your abdominal muscles, lift your hands and shoulders first, touch your hands and feet to the ground at the same time. Grip pinching with dumbbells. We use this to condition the grip and prepare the forearms for the work coming in the UMS. A common injury we see is forearm tendinopathy, also known as golfer's elbow or tennis elbow. This can usually be avoided with correct load management. Simply pick up a dumbbell and hold for 15 to 30 seconds. Make sure you don't use an edge on the dumbbell to make the exercise easier. Rely on your grip. There is a lot of grip work in the early phases of the UMS, and it is important that you manage your load effectively. You are not looking to go to failure here. You are simply building up strength and load tolerance for the more demanding loads you will put on your grip and arms in later phases of the UMS.